we have another call. Hello?
Hello.
Where are you from?
From St. Martinville, Louisiana, Mother.
And what is your question?
My name is Ron, and my question is, how does, I would like you to tell us how to do an examination of conscience in detail. A couple of weeks ago, we have very good priests here, and we're fortunate. A couple of weeks ago, the Father Bienvenu's homily, he said, people come in and they tell me I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't curse. He said, I don't want to know that. I want to know your sins. And I find that people, even I have trouble pinning down precisely what it is that my sins are. And I wondered if you could explain to us in detail and give us
I could give you detail for the simple reason that we'd have to be here another 2 hours. And I don't want to make you scrupulous now. But if you follow the commandments and examine yourself on the commandments, that's a good beginning. Secondly, examine yourself on the new commandment also. Not instead of the 10, but the new one. How much do I love my neighbor? For example, do I gossip about my neighbor? Do I slander my neighbor? What does slander mean? Well, slander means that I say something about my neighbor, or I say something to you about someone nobody ever knew. See what I mean? You get that in the newspaper all along. Every day they slander somebody. Say you knew that somebody committed adultery 20 years ago. Now nobody knows it but you. And you go and say, did you know that so-and-so committed adultery 20 years ago? Is it true? Yes. But it's slander. Why? Because you ruined a reputation. You told something you alone knew that was long gone, long forgiven. It is a true statement, but you slandered them. Now, a lot of people calumniate, and they just make up lies about people to ruin their reputation. See? That's a lack of love. Are you harsh? We're going to start with love. I could be here all night if you want to examine your conscience. Do you really love your wife or your children? You say, yeah, I love them. I only beat them up once a week. Well, maybe they need a swat in the back, but are you patient with them? So, do you go to confession and say, I'm very impatient and I'm cruel sometimes to my wife and my children? Who cares whether you smoke or not? That's stupidity. It's not a sin. You don't go to confession and accuse yourself of stupid things. I ate too many potato chips. See, when you commit a sin, you know it. That's why a lot of sins committed in the dark. Well, you think you're fooling. You think God's blind. There's no darkness with him. Have you stolen anything? So I haven't stolen a thing in my whole life. Well, what about your income tax? Are you honest? Did you go and work for somebody who gave you $20, but did you declare it? No. That's mine. Okay, it's yours. I went to the store and there was a package of chewing gum on the floor and a steak fell out of the meat case. A steak fell out of the meat case? Yeah, I thought nobody's going to want it, so I took it. Put it under my sweater. Ooh, that must have smelled good. See, we're so accustomed to lying and cheating that we don't ever tell those things in confession. You say, I lie a little bit. What's a little bit? I tell white lies. What's a white lie? Have you really coveted your neighbor's wife? Do you know what the Lord said? If you lust after a woman in your mind, whoa, you've already committed adultery. Now that's the Lord talking, not some little old nun. Now men will say, well, I'm human. Who's questioning that? You don't look like an ape. You may act like an ape, but you don't look like one. So that's another sin. You see, you read pornographic books or something. You say, well, I can handle it. Well, if you could handle it, you wouldn't be reading it. If you had any brains, that's a better way of saying it. See, there's a lot of things that you could do, or you do. You walk slow in front of an X-rated movie. Well, I didn't go in. You probably had more thoughts than are in there. My wife worked hard all day, and I came home, and I was irritable and irritating. I didn't like the food she cooked, and I hurt her feelings, and she cried. Is that wrong? Yeah, it's wrong. It means you're cold, lacking in compassion. So there are many things. Also, you might examine your motives. Now, that's a goodie. You see? Why do you do the things you do? Do you ever wonder about that? I was angry. Okay, well, sometimes there's justified anger, isn't there? Well, you get angry over movies like The Last Temptation of Christ. See? It's not scruples, not at all. It's just an honest evaluation. I'm angry because I'm proud. Oh, now we're getting down to roots, see? Why are you proud? No, it's just me. I think I'm the best. Well, we could have told you that long ago. If you're having a problem with an examination of conscience, ask your neighbor or your wife. They'll tell you things you never knew. You need to watch, though, that you don't get scrupulous, that you don't question God's mercy. But see, here's Peter. What an example Peter is. A plain no, I failed. That's all. He didn't excuse himself. I think you're right. We all need to examine our conscience. We do it once a day. You say, well, what do you got to say, Mother? Quite a bit, depending on the day. But you see, we're not perfect. We're not perfect. We want to be like Jesus, but we're not perfect.